Well, Lindsay, I want to thank you for this opportunity to teach this class today about the option period, and I have some great rock stars here that are going to rock it out. So let's get started here. We're talking about the option period, and it's paragraph 23 of the 1 to 4 family contract, and you have that page of the contract with you, termination option. And I wrote down a series of questions here. You have the questions before you. I thought maybe it would kind of facilitate this discussion. And I really expect to learn something from you guys. I do. I don't know everything. I do know about the option period, but I expect to learn something for each one of y'all. The first question is, what is the option period? Why do we have an option period on the contract? Does anybody have an idea?
Almost like buyer's remorse, right? Like if they kind of go, we signed this, but now we're not real sure, it kind of gives them that cushion of being able to sever it. I don't know.
Yes.
I think it also has
They
to
just
do.
protect the buyer, you know.
I think it also has to do a lot with due diligence, being able to walk through and inspect it and have a contractor come look at it if you need to.
Okay, both of those are good answers. Did you have an idea too?
No,
Yeah,
that's what I thought was, you know, like protect the buyer to do with the inspection, and then they can negotiate all the issue after that.
That's true. All of these are correct.
It actually gives the seller consideration, taking a home off the market, letting someone come in and see their home. So you're actually putting up consideration to take it off the market and actually bring your inspector in and your buyer.
All good answers. Everybody has every answer is right. That's all right. Is it for, when does the option period begin? Does anybody know the answer to that? When does the option period begin?
Is that
3 days after the effective date of the contract.
I was gonna say 2.
2 days after the effective date, okay. What, does anybody else have an idea?
That was the day after the executed contract.
Day after.
It is the day after the contract is executed. So the Texas Real Estate Commission wants to make sure that we all know when that effective date is, so they put it into a nice bold block. This is the time frame that everything, all the performance in the contract runs from this. This is very important. When who puts a date in here? Does anybody know who puts the date in there? I wonder.
It's dated after.
It's a listing agent.
It's considered dated after the last person signs.
What is it?
It's considered dated after the last person signs the contract.
So if we're negotiating and the buyer makes an offer and the seller says, no, not quite this, and then it goes back and forth, so you're saying the last agent that has it in their hands puts a date in there?
The last agent who already has it signed from the previous agent, and their seller or buyer signs it, is when it's executed.
That's true. Yes, it is. So it can
repeat
be,
that one more time.
when does the option period start? That's the question. Hi, everybody. We have some materials here for you.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you for coming. Okay, thank you for coming. There's 2 pages plus paragraph 23 of
You
the.
are so popular.
Woo, come on in.
See, the line was just long. I knew they would get here. I knew they would get here.
Well, I'm just really excited to, it's all come. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm honored. And the discussion is, what's an option period? So we've already discussed, the option period is a time when the buyer has an opportunity to perform the inspections. The seller takes the house off the market, so we're going through my little list of questions here, and I expect to learn from you guys too. I do. So the option period begins the day after the contract is executed. And Ivory so eloquently said, it's the one who fills in the date is the last agent who has their hands on the contract. The buyer may make an offer, but the seller may not accept it as it's written, right? And so the seller might have a little a little adjustment that they wanna make to the offer, so when it finally gets all ironed out, then whoever, and it can be the listing agent or the buyer's agent, can put that effective date on there. And the important thing is that an effective date does go on there, because, Jim will not be happy if he sees a contract come across his desk with no effective date.
Where
It
is the
must.
effective date stated in here?
It's, the
full
executed
one?
date.
Okay.
And we've discussed that the option period begins when, class? The option period begins, that's right, the day after the contract's executed. So, I know as a new agent, I was always confused. You have the option fee receipt and you have the executed date. Sometimes it's the same, sometimes it's not. And the important thing is to remember this block is there for a reason, and it's bold for a reason. Everything is driven from that. Okay, and then let's see. What are the possibles? I'm going to go ahead and jump to this. Can the option period be free? Can we put $0 in there? Can we have it, where we get it for free, nothing is paid?
No.
What?
There's no inspection.
What?
Well, there's no skin in the game then.
Melinda.
So you think money needs to be paid to get an option period?
Well, consideration.
Take it off the
Yeah.
market,
Yeah,
otherwise
because
they
you're-
can keep showing it.
Exactly.
So everybody will agree that money needs and must be paid to have an option period? Do we all agree on that?
I
Or
don't
can
think
it
it
be-
has to, I think it just generally is.
If there's an option period, there has to be money exchanged. All right, and there also must be not only money exchanged, but a time period. And it's all negotiable, the money and the time is all negotiable. What are y'all seeing these days on contracts?
10 days.
10 days
is
is
like
like
really
really standard.
$10 a day is pretty typical these days, all right? Sometimes in a multiple offer situation, there might even be more money offered, because that's something that the buyer gives up, right?
Yep.
Or do they get a refund?
They can get it back at closing.
Only at closing though?
No, I mean if they exercise their option.
If they exercise their option, they can get that money back? The option fee?
No.
Are you sure?
They can ask for it, but generally it doesn't.
The option fee is non-refundable, and it's on there, no,
The
that's
option
to
fee
the
will not
sales,
be refunded.
so it's non-refundable, that's money they give up. Now, if they go all the way to closing, if the buyer's agent knows what they're doing, they'll ask for the money to be credited to the buyer at closing. But other than that, they give up that money the minute they, get an option period. Okay, now, what are possible sources of funds for that option fee? Can it be cash, money order, cashier's check, personal check? All those three are good, not cash. You need to have something traceable and reportable. Yes! Hi, hello. We have some handouts somewhere.
We ran out.
Okay, you ran out. Okay, you can have mine. No.
I'll show him.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate all of y'all taking the time out of your day. So it needs to be either certified funds or a personal check for the option fee. Okay. Who pays the option fee? Can it be the realtor?
No.
Title company?
No.
Seller?
The buyer
Buyer.
What? Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. Now we have some money and we have a contract, and that money, where does it go? Does it go into your bank account, buyer's agent?
Never.
What?
It goes to the lender.
The
Goes
title
to the
company.
lender.
Title company, sorry.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Title company.
Are you sure?
Yes.
No, it doesn't.
Title company.
Option
and
fee
the
goes to
option
your
fee
seller.
goes to the seller, yeah.
Okay, on here, we have, it's on here somewhere,
It's actually paid to the seller.
yes. The option fee to the seller. To send your option fee to the title company might do what?
Maybe
What if it's lost? What would
Yeah.
happen then?
You'd be liable.
But what would happen to your buyer if the option fee was lost and not delivered?
There would
They
be
don't
an
have an
option
option.
period.
Okay, okay, that's right. There's
First
no
of all,
option period.
And it might not get received.
Yeah. Whenever I have a title company or a buyer's agent said, oh, I'll just drop it in the mail. And I'll say, I can't sign for it until I have it in my hands. And I won't sign for it until I have it. And I don't want y'all signing for it until you have it in your little grubby hands or your seller's grubby hands. One or the other. Only. Not title company, not anybody else. Now, here's something interesting that I didn't always know. I'm always learning, and so will y'all. Who delivers the option fee? Who delivers the money to the seller or the listing agent? Who?
Buyer's agent.
Only? Can it be anybody else?
A runner.
A runner?
I guess you're gonna tell us because I've done it so many different ways. Just let me know I wasn't illegal what I've done.
As long as it gets to the seller or the listing agent, you're golden,
Okay.
as long as you know that it gets there. You can send it by certified mail where it, requires a signature. You can drop it in the mail if you require a signature, but you have a time limit, don't you? It's not forever. Is it a week? Is it 2 weeks? How long is it? 3 days. That's right. All right, let's see what else. Can the title company accept the option fee? Can they accept it?
Yes.
Yeah, they can.
They can accept it. Can they sign for it?
Yes.
No. The answer is no, because I didn't print out the page with the option fee, but it only has a line there for the seller or the agent only. Nobody else. I've had title companies try to sign for it. That is not correct.
I've had title companies sign.
It's not right. No. Because they're not a party to the contract. Remember when the earnest money goes to a third party that doesn't have a financial interest, and the option fee must be given to somebody that has a financial interest, like the seller or the listing agent only. Now, if you're not at the office and you have someone, a courier, that's bringing the option fee to the office, you already know what I'm going to say, don't you? Who can sign for that? Let's say I'm away from the office all day.
The broker can sign.
The broker can sign. Is that right? Are you sure? Who all can sign for that option fee? Does anybody have an idea? Okay, Bruce can sign. Jim can sign. It's usually Bruce. Yeah. The receptionist can't sign. Yeah, but Bruce can certainly sign. Or any of the realtors. You call me, you've got an option fee coming, I'll go out there and sign for you. No problem.
Really?
Yeah, sure. Why not? All right, and then I will immediately give it to you when you come into the office, or have the receptionist hold it for you. All right, let's see. So we've already talked about the time frame for acceptance. It's 3 days. It used to be 2. It used to be 48 hours. Now it's 72 hours. And do you know why they chose 72 instead of the 48? Why would they change that, I wonder?
For now, in case you want to send it to them.
Unless you get through the weekend.
It lets you get through a weekend. Does anybody else have an idea why it would be changed from 48 to 72 hours? I believe it's so you can get through a weekend, yeah, to give you. And it's, like if you execute this on a Friday, you'll count Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday. Monday at 5, that's the drop dead. You need to get it to them at that time. Okay. There's something called performance in a contract. Are y'all familiar with the word performance? And that's where there's dates, there's all kinds of dates in a contract. But right now we're talking about the option period. Who is responsible ultimately for the performance of this, for keeping track of the number of days when the option period ends? Who is responsible for that? Is it Oh, it's you?
That's my contract to close.
It's us, isn't it? Our name is on the contract, so it's us. So, you know, if you have another agent that's not as well educated, not a Keller Williams agent, and cry for them because they're floating around there just waiting to be sued. But you know you're going to run into, the more deals you do, the more that you'll know that there's all kinds of lack of education out there, and sometimes you have to train the other agent, believe it or not. I'm going to just drop it in the mail. Well, you know, if it gets lost, your buyer won't have an option period, and I can only sign when I get the money in my hand, or my seller does. So that, then all of a sudden they're racing to the office or wanting to meet me somewhere when I say that I'm not going to sign it until I get it. So, okay, can we meet somewhere? Well, yes, we can. And it doesn't have to be in the office. I've met them so many times at Starbucks or something. It's easy. I mean, I try not to be difficult, you know, for the buyer's agent. Make it easy on them. Why not? They're out there trying to make a living like we are. So let's see. What happens during the option period? I mean, why do we have those days? Why in the world?
Inspection.
Inspections.
Appraisals. Long term inspection.
Inspections, all right. When do you think your buyer should order an inspection?
Sooner, sooner, than later.
Yeah. When do you hand your buyers a list of all the inspectors right then? When do you hand your buyer a list of the inspectors? At what point of your conversation with your buyer do you hand them the list of inspectors?
When you submit an offer?
When you submit an offer, or even during your buyer's consultation, sometime early in the game, very early in the game, not 3 days later, 5 days later. Give them a chance. And I know this answer, I already know what the answer is from our broker, but do you indicate which inspector to use? What?
Give them an option.
Indicate by what? Highlighting it?
I'm just asking.
Oh.
No? You give them the liberty of choosing? Okay, yeah, that's the answer that Jim would like. Let's see. During the option period, you know that on the multiple listing service, the status is changed to AO, or active option. And if you show many homes, you're gonna see that a lot these days. AO, oh no, we missed out on that house. Is that true? Did you miss out on that house? No? Okay, what could happen? You see an AO on there, and you have a buyer that's very interested in the house. What could happen?
They can have a backup offer.
That's true. That's true. Ask the listing agent, are you accepting backup offers? And may we go in with the idea that my buyer may want to write a backup offer, so the seller can go ahead and allow showings even though he has an approved contract, an accepted contract. Good. You'll know a lot. So why are you in this class?
Because you're teaching.
We want to learn from the best.
Oh my goodness. So the sellers can continue to approve showings on the property, and they can accept other offers. Very good. And we've already decided when the list of inspectors should go to the buyers early in the game. So, and I think somebody already answered that the buyer should schedule an inspection as soon as possible. If their favorite inspector isn't available, what do they do? Do they wait 5 days until they have time for them?
They have a whole list to choose from.
They have a list to choose from, so get somebody in there the sooner the better. All right. What if your buyer, let's say you have a 10-day option period and it's day 9. You've had the inspections and it's just more than the buyer can cope with. You know, I just don't think that I can do this. I just don't think. So are they, tied to this contract? Now they have to buy the house, or what happens? No. So what happens? The buyer says, Mary, I have second thoughts. What happens then?
Sign a termination.
Very good. You've already been down this road. Yeah. Very good. Okay. That's exactly right. It has to be in writing, and you have to give the seller a written notice. That's right. Exactly right. So it sounds like all of you have either paid attention in your classes or you've done some deals. And I already asked everybody who's written offers, who all, because there's been some new ones. Okay, we have 1, 2, how many? 3, 4, and the rest of you have just really paid attention in class. Wow, I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. But I'm going to go back on what I said earlier. I bet I can't receipt. I don't know if I could receipt the option fee or not for one of y'all or not. Bruce has already always done it for me, so I don't know.
So, say you have a client that wants to back out in any of those 10 days without the inspection done.
Right.
They can, I mean, they don't even have to have the inspection, they can just change their mind.
Yes, it's the unrestricted right.
Okay.
And it would do y'all a lot of good to memorize these words. When you're writing an offer with a client, I even underline, highlight, here's what you have with this, because they're all nervous, especially if it's their first house. Oh my gosh, you know, it's such a big step to think about investing all this money and down payment and all the things that they have to go through to buy a house, compete for the house, and it does your you're doing your buyer a service by making sure that they understand what these words mean, and that that you know how to handle this, that you have their best interest at heart, and that you're going to. Are you going to remind them when the option period's coming to an end, or you just let them guess? Or, no. Do you put it in your calendar? Do you put it like in your phone so it'll ring and do some things?
These alert me 3 days before. These alert me 2 days before. These
Yeah.
alert me 1 hour before.
I think that's a very good idea. Yeah, yeah, because ultimately it's up to you. And let's see. I found quite a bit of information online. If you're a nerd like me, you know, you think you know something, and so that's a dangerous thing to think you know something. And so I went ahead and looked up all that I could find on option periods, and there was really quite a bit. The Texas Real Estate Commission has, you know, the what we would abide by, because we're bound by that. But also Wikipedia had an answer, and I thought that was interesting. The residential real estate industry in Texas, of course, we're always different, is unique in that the real estate sales contract forms used in most transactions in the state are developed through the state agency, who develops our contracts and forms? Texas Real Estate Commission, in the broker lawyer committee. Remember that from school?
All those things you memorize.
I know.
3 to 9.
Yeah.
And 1 public member.
Things we never need to know.
We passed our test. Don't ask me that now.
Tell me about riparian rights. Go.
Yeah. River.
Oh. We're part of Keller Williams. You know, what more do you need to know?
Yeah.
But I admire you all for going to class and to learn even things that you know and even think you know, and you probably do already know, and you come anyway. And I'm going to strongly suggest that you go to any of David Blagan's classes, because he's absolutely amazing. And Jim McClung he's the boss. I mean, he is our boss, and he knows everything. And you know, it took me a long time to understand that Bruce Mays is a wealth of information. He doesn't want you to know that. In fact, he may kill me because I told the class that. But he does. He knows everything. And where do you think Jim goes when he has a question? I'm just kidding. But Bruce is just a wealth of information. So we have just an awesome market center that wants to support you, educate you in everything that you do. And I'm just flattered that you might think that I had something to say today. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I have a question, if this is the time for questions.
Yeah, anything.
So 10-day option period, and let's say we're halfway through it, and the buyers are like, yep, we've done inspections, we like it, we're good. Do you tell the seller we're done with the option period, or you just let it expire?
That's a good question. Does anybody have an opinion on that? That's a real good question. Does anybody have an opinion on this?
Would you really tell them that, hey, we're good, we're gonna just go ahead and be done with the option period? And then, you know, they may wake up in night sweats like 2 days later and go, I really don't want it, I was kidding.
Isn't there
I
a
would.
section on an amendment that allows the buyer to check off saying that they're ready to move forward?
Yes. I think it's worded something like the buyer waives his
Yes,
unrestricted right to
that's what it
terminate.
is.
Yeah. And that's a very good question, and that gives the seller peace of mind that we're done here. The buyer's in love with the house. No more night sweats. We're moving forward. And when we have a repair amendment and we duke it out and we play, you know, Indian wrestle and we get through it, I love it when I get the amendment with the repair and we come to an agreement. Everybody signs. It's executed. And the buyer says, and the buyer waives their unrestricted right. We got it all ironed out. We're good to go. That gives a seller and a listing agent just peace of mind that there's not going to be a surprise. But the buyer must sign, you know. Then there goes the nightmares because he's signed. He's agreed to that. So that's a real good question.
Does that change the option fee?
Nope. The seller gets to keep it, even if it's one day. No. It was offered. And go all the way to closing, and it gets credited to the buyer anyway. So, yeah, it's good. Does anybody else have any questions? But that's a good one, actually.
In most cases, do people just let it run its course?
I don't know most cases. I just love it as a listing agent when I see that they're done here after we negotiate the repairs. It's over. Because what else is there? What else is there? Because the appraisal will more than likely come later. I mean, some like USAA, they order the appraisal right off the bat, and some other lenders do too. But usually it's a little after the option period because why would the lender want to wait a few days later to order the appraisal? Why do you think? Because the buyer may change their mind and not buy that house.
If it appraises at a different price than what they were hoping for.
If it appraises for less. And so we're not going to go into what happens then if it appraises for less. That's another class. But what else, guys? Come on, give me something. Give me something that I'll run out of here and go cry, Jim, it's just too hard.
So you can go over again who truly is responsible for
Performance?
executing the
Executing the last agent that has the contract in their hands. Let's say,
so
and
no
that's,
matter what, okay, because here's the situation I just dealt with. Me or my client signed, and then I sent it back so that her client could sign. She didn't execute it, so she sent that right back to me.
execute it. If it's negotiated and the deal's
So
done.
it's not like an unwritten rule under law or something that whoever has the last has to execute.
It should be, but you know, you're gonna have some agents that just don't know. The important thing is get it executed. Yeah, it can be you. Cause who knows, maybe she's running in 1,000 different directions. You know, let's not be, you know, hardcore and hard-nosed about it, even though we know more than you. Just go ahead and execute it. And communicate that. Isn't it always good to have good communication? Okay, listing agent, we've come to an agreement, a meeting of the minds, and I'm going to execute this today. And I always convey that so that they'll know that the option period starts tomorrow, and inspection can be any day now, any day after tomorrow. Yes,
So the only person who can execute the contract is the agents, right?
yes. I'm going to say yes.
So the title company cannot execute the contract.
No. They're not part of the negotiations. They don't have a fiduciary responsibility. Let's not forget fiduciary. And we do.
I'm just saying, I had a scenario where, we signed, buyer signed, buyer automatically sent it straight to the title company
Right.
that they executed.
I've seen that too, but I just went ahead and wrote it on there and put my initial on there just because I have the authority to do that. I did. Sometimes you might once in a while work with Is there ever a case when a buyer would not want a termination option? Right now, we're assuming every buyer wants this. Is there a case or an incident where someone may not want it or allow it? Who would that
Sure,
be?
there's times when people just say, I don't need the option period, let's go.
What would you do as a buyer's agent in that case? Your buyer's refusing, what do you do?
I need to sign something.
Yeah, they need to sign something, I don't know what it is, they need to sign something.
Sign your
contract.
Write it on a napkin. They need to sign something.
No, there's a form that says that they're
Yeah.
refusing inspection, and usually that option period is, gives them time to do inspection and negotiate.
So I think we're all in agreement that it has to be in writing. Get them to, I don't know if there is a form where they waive their right to an inspection. I think there is. I think in the final walkthrough there is. They waived the right or they didn't want an inspection. But there's got to be something in writing that they sign. And Jim wants to see that. Okay, so you've got a buyer that thinks that they know everything. They already know what's behind those walls and in that attic and on that roof, even though they've never been up there. And, okay, fine, sign here. Are there any other times when you would not have a termination option? Can anybody think of a time?
Maybe like investors that are maybe not here.
Investors may not want it, right? And there are some foreclosures where there is no termination option. They'll give you time to inspect, and there might even be, I've not done that many foreclosures, but I've heard, I've talked, where there is a time when you can do inspections, and there are some loops or whatever, where you can get out of the contract, but it may not be this for the foreclosure. So yeah, just keep in mind that it's not always the case. So, but 1 to 4 family, the typical person that's going to live in the home or even an investor, they'll probably want this. So, always address it, always suggest it. In fact, recommend it, I would. And so when they come and talk to you about writing an offer, do you have your checkbook with you? Are you going to bring your checkbook with you? Because you'll be writing 2 checks. I just tell them straight up before they come over, so that they'll be ready to write. Now, who is it payable to, the termination option? Is it payable to me, Mary Denton? I get the money? Oh, okay. You already know? I thought it was going to be me. All right.
We asked would you like to co-mingle or not?
I just brought it right in my bank account, baby. I don't have to make a living. I want Jim to tap me on the shoulder and say, Mary, your time is up. You have expired your contract with us. All right, what else?
The earnest money check that was written to the title company.
Correct, yes, that's right, yes.
And that is delivered to the title.
Yes, it is. Many times the title company has a courier that will pick up the earnest money. There are some agents that are even more attention to detail than I am, and that's hard to believe. There are. That the agents actually take them to the title company. But either way, as long as it gets there. And but many title companies are they have a service where they employ couriers or a marketing rep that will come and pick up the earnest money. But for heaven's sakes, don't let them pick up your option fee. Just don't do it. It's risky. It's very risky. There's a title company rep that I've known for years, and I won't mention names. I met her in the parking lot one day, and she was fishing all around her seat. What are you doing? Oh, I dropped the checks in here somewhere. I don't know where they went. And I thought, oh my God, I will never do that. Never do that.
Your tar.
She didn't know where she left the checks, and I thought, oh no. That because here's the thing. Our buyers are little sitting ducks. They're trusting you. You're the one that holds the license. And they don't be scared. It's okay. You're coming to class. You're going to know this. But you're the one holding the license, and you're with a big name, Keller Williams. They're looking for you to look out for their best interest. So they don't know that all this exists. They don't know what you know. They have no idea. So it's
They don't know riparian rights.
so it's up to you. It's up to you to educate your buyers what they're getting into and what the risks and rewards are for this contract. So make sure that you educate them about all of this, even though make sure they know you're not an attorney, you're not practicing law, but we have this, and this is very important for you to know. So, what else?
Do you, we had this discussion, I think it was with JJ in that one class, but do you go through and you kind of explain, is that like what, practicing law versus like explaining the contract, where do you draw the boundary yourself?
That's a good question. That's a real good question. I think Jim would answer that best.
Okay.
I know what I do, but I think it would be better for you to get it from the authority than from me.
Right. That question of interpretation and
Paraphrase.
explaining things to them.
I think paraphrasing is a good word for it, but really I think you better get it directly from him. I do.
Well, and I mean, I'm not sure which Ignite class you were. It was obviously different ones, but the one that we just had was, you compare, like, go through your contract, highlight some words that you can paraphrase and that you can talk about. It's like you don't go to the doctor and they talk in medical terms; they talk in your terms, right? So you understand. But they did say you still want to give your client the contract and encourage them to read it.
Yes. Oh, please, yes. Thank you. And I have a client that trusts me implicitly, and it's scary when they trust you that much. Because I'll ask them 5 times when we're on each page, read it first, read it, yeah. Read it first, and here's a copy for you to read later, read it, And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So, but what else? Y'all are asking good questions. I'm going to ask Lindsay to give me the B string, the second string next time. These are the A-T. These are the smart ones. What else? What else can we talk about? What you always wanted to know about an option period. It's one little paragraph, paragraph 23, and it'll trip people up every single time. It does. It does.
So we talked about possibly making an amendment to finishing. Like, okay, the inspection's done. We don't need this long of an option period.
Right.
We're done with that.
Right.
However, if it does expire and neither the buyer or the agent has said that they want out, it just automatically rolls over into normal, right? You don't have to sign anything. You don't. It just the switch is on now.
The switch is on. I call it being under contract. You are now officially under contract.
Okay.
Yes. Then you really have performance too, and you have earnest money at stake then during the contract. And if somebody doesn't perform, what can happen? That's true. Yeah. So
If somebody doesn't perform.
right, there's so many moving parts. Yes, there's so many moving parts. You have a lender. Some of the lenders aren't as attention to detail as others. Really, there's some that aren't.
So when we say that somebody doesn't perform, it's generally on the buying side. It's not that the seller doesn't perform.
That's not
contract falls
true.
through,
No, that's not true.
and they still get to keep the earnest money?
Well, the
No.
seller doesn't get
When is a case where the seller wouldn't perform or didn't perform
There were
properly?
repairs.
Yeah. Repairs. What else?
Title issues.
Title issues like a divorce, a judgment, something like that. It shows up where in the title,
It's maybe the home is not under their name.
right? And it
In the
shows
title
up in a
search.
report. What report? What report would that show?
Title commitment.
Title commitment. Very good. That's right.
Or they change locks in the house.
Has that ever happened to you? Oh my gosh!
So we had an inspection scheduled and the seller asked the agent to change the lockbox.
Why?
On the
They didn't, so.
oh my gosh, on the contract and on the listing agreement, the seller is agreeing to make the home available at reasonable times for inspection. And what has to happen? Do they have to keep the utilities on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or turn them on.
Or have that
Exactly.
turned on, yeah.
Exactly.
That
Because
will cancel an inspection if you don't have gas, you don't have power, you can't test it.
That is very true. Well, or they will do what they can, like inspect the roof and whatnot, but they
But
can't
then they'll
test.
charge you to come back out.
They do. They do.
About some,
So, yeah,
Yeah.
so what happens if you can't, because that happened, you know, what happens if you can't get inspection in that option?
Well, did you contact the listing agent? Hey, we can't get in. And what did they say?
Well, no, I called the listing agent, there was no answer, I called the broker, left a message, so this dragged on for 3 days.
Okay, the next person you call in,
You
call the broker, and the third person you call in is Jim. You contact Jim. Hey, I've got
So I even
this.
had the seller's information, nobody would answer me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. It's sad. They're running
on
on.
their phone all
extended.
day.
It's
Yeah,
shocking.
it sounds like there's more to the story than people just not answering.
But the third person that you contact is Jim. We have this. They're not performing what we do. And he'll give you an answer. He'll give you an answer. That's shocking. I've never heard of that. There's a news story every day. There is. I told you I learned something from you guys. There's the law.
It's another way that a seller, like, not perform, seller's disclosure, if you write the contract, that way.
3 days, 5 days, and they don't provide it to you, that's correct. That's another performance issue.
I guess,
Or if it's not
the
survey,
question, the answer to that question, what is if you can't get inspection, you know, like right now, it's so crazy,
Right.
and appraisers and inspectors are booked for who knows how long.
Yeah.
What do you do?
You can extend it.
There's 50 inspectors. I mean, you're gonna find somebody.
Not only is there 50 companies, but each company has
Yes,
their,
so
you know,
many.
a lot of them have more than one, so.
There's gonna be somebody that can.
But you can always extend the option period too.
Yes, that's another question, that I meant to ask. Thank you, Irish.
You're welcome.
Can the option period be extended
Yes.
for free?
No. For consideration.
For consideration, are you sure? I mean, we already put up some money here.
You want more days? I want more money.
What? You're just
So, but what
a
if
stickler.
what if you're coming down to the wire and you were a little late on your inspection, and your inspector's like, I'll have this report to you by 11 o'clock at night, he was busy all day and he's up late typing. No, they call him, they'll freak out on him and be like, where's the report? We're down to the wire. It's like, well, that's kind of your fault, you're down to that wire, but you still see it.
You use a company that prints out inspections on the site. It's like,
Too late for that. It's already.
Right.
So you're saying you're at the, let's say it's a 10-day option period and you're at day 10 at noon and you're freaking out. What do you do?
You extend it. Come up with some more moolah.
Okay, so you're trying to extend, but don't you need the seller to also sign?
Yes.
So what if, you know, they're on vacation? What if they're not responsive, not answering their telephone or checking their emails?
Their brokers should be able to do something.
Yeah,
That's a
what you
Jim
do is-
question. I think I'm getting into deep water here.
What you do is,
And this is being recorded. Oh my gosh.
no, it's. I believe Jim answered this or Joe answered it for me before. You still write. You still have your people send it all out. You still write up the check. You make copies of everything, and you attempt to give it to the agent. You email it.
What, the extension? I'm lost. Which part?
The extension.
Oh, the extension.
You
Okay.
email it. You email it to them and to the broker. You know, make sure you have a timestamp when you email and everything, and you know, showing that you actually made an attempt to get it to them in
Deliver
time.
it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
That, you know, that's one of the agents here at the office. That's a great negotiating tool. You know, I appreciate that, and my buyer will tell me today whether he wants to terminate or not. Boom! They jump into action. Boom! They get on fire all of a sudden. I love that.
Okay.
What else? What else? I think we've gone past our time. Does anybody have any questions? Oh no, it's till
It's 2:11. Yeah,
2:30.
2:30.
I thought it was till 2. Does anybody else have any questions? Anything else to discuss? Any odd circumstances? That was amazing. What else, guys? Anything that you've always wanted to know?
I have a question. It's a little off an option now under contract with a title company that, they check both the seller and the buyer for title. So right now, my buyer supposedly has a lien, and they won't allow us to close because my buyer has a lien.
You mean the lender won't? It's lender
Their
or title?
title company.
Really? That's new to me.
Yes, that's
I don't
new to
know
me
everything.
too.
I do not know
So I
everything.
just thought I might ask, because I've never heard of anything like that, but I called a few title companies, and some said that they do check both sides, the seller and the buyer, and some said that they just check the seller for liens.
It just seems to me like the lender would be the one in order to check for liens.
Wait, the buyer has a lien on what?
A child support lien. But
Just on his
I
personal
found
lien?
out that it's the wrong person, it's
But
not
that shouldn't
mine,
even make it.
it shouldn't, and they're paying cash.
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a different title company's question. I was like, switch all my stuff over to ABC title. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we're too far in deep to switch title company.
Which title company can I ask?
Oh, I've asked, Alamo said yes, they check both sides. First American Title said that they don't, just the sellers.
That was new to me.
That is, yeah,
What company's not closing on it?
it's a mobile title company called
Is it
Service.
just because it's a liability to them because somebody already has something on
I
them?
think it may have to do with the fact that it's an REO, so it's a bank-owned, property. So maybe the bank doesn't want to sell their property to somebody who has a
It's a
lien.
liability thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
How are they paying cash?
But they're paying cash. But,
You know, everybody has a story. Everybody has a different, isn't it interesting how each transaction's different? You know, some of them are the same and then all of a sudden you're hit with change locks or
yeah.
checking on the buyer and there's always something new, always. So that's why we keep going to class, so that we can all talk about this and prepare.
Prepare for Armageddon.
Oh my gosh. Revelation to do with this. Revelation chapter 4. I didn't know what it had to do with real estate, but okay.
Depending on what transaction, right?
Oh my gosh. Alright, what else, guys? If y'all don't have any other questions, I just appreciate y'all coming and giving your input. I do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.